54327.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué pasa?
Hay dos perros aquí hoy.
So there's two dogs here today. Thank you for watching the last video. We got sort of over 400 views on it and kind of very surprised at that. So anybody that liked it and commented, I appreciate it. Everybody likes Mark better than I like Mark. So I'm going to let him do the talking because apparently I'm like a father figure to him and I try to oppress him. But anyway, go ahead.
I'll agree with part of that sentiment, but not all of it. You are not a father figure to me, although you are much older than I am.
What?
Just 5.5 years, if anyone's wondering. Yeah, so thank you for watching the video. I didn't expect that we would get that many views as quickly as we did, but I guess somebody out there thinks we're doing something okay, or maybe they hate us. Who knows? Either way, thank you.
There's police sirens going off in the background if you
Yes.
can hear them. Sorry about that, but we are outside. That's another thing. We did ask people, do you want us to do it inside or outside? And a couple of people said outside's fine because everybody does it inside. So we're outside.
Yeah, and it's actually a nice day today. It's, I think, our
It's
first
wonderful, wonderful weather.
sort of spring-like weather. It's been very cold and very wet for the last 2 weeks, I would say. For
2
all
weeks?
of April, really.
For months.
Well, yeah, but it was just cold before. But the last 2 weeks has been very wet and very, like, the temperatures were reading in the 40s, but the feels like temperature were in the 20s, which I don't remember ever happening in April before. That's like a winter thing. Today, we're in the 60s. It's sunny, and we're going to enjoy it. So that's why we're doing the video a little earlier, so we can go do some things afterwards.
I'm going to take the dog down to the beach.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I always walk Alex, so I'll maybe do a longer walk with Alex.
All right, what are we talking about today?
All right, so we have a few stories, and of course, the most important thing in the whole world is that Katy Perry and Gayle King have been to space.
Yes,
They are now astronauts.
That don't make sense.
that is the
Officially
most.
astronauts.
Yeah, they went for 10-minute ride.
Yes.
Probably cost about $28 million
it's
each.
ridiculous.
And the whole world has to applaud rich people doing fun things. It's
This
like
is the premier flight for the company, right? This is the Jeff Bezos answer to SpaceX.
no, he's flown before. He was on it
Blue
before.
Origin? Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, it's its first all-female
All-female.
space crew. So, but of course,
So
when
basically,
when you're trying to do something historic, like send all-female crew to space, you have to include Katy Perry and Gayle King, because I didn't even find out about this until yesterday, I think.
and I'm sure Oprah paid for most of the trip.
I don't know. This doesn't say anything about who paid, but it does say actually it is the first all-female space crew in more than 60 years. So I guess at some point there was another one.
Not very good with my space history.
No.
Kira, what are you eating?
She's eating sticks, as you do on the porch.
Yeah, so we all have to ooh and ah that Gayle King and Katy Perry and those other poor women that nobody's ever going to know about.
Yeah.
The last time there was a seat auctioned off at the Blue Origin, it was $28 million for one seat.
Who got it?
I don't know. I don't know. Just I read little things.
I don't understand. Like, I have absolutely zero desire to go to
It's not
space
even that. It's the waste of money. How many homes could they have built for homeless people? How much could they have given to hospitals? But this is important, and the only reason they did it with Gayle King and Katy Perry is publicity.
Of course.
It's just a marketing gimmick. So again, these billionaire people get to do whatever the hell they want. As much money, and he probably, I don't even know if he's got government money, but probably.
I'm sure.
You
How
know?
can you do it otherwise,
But anyway, that's the rant over. I don't really give a shit that Katy Perry and Gayle King went to space. It does nothing for me.
They were interviewing her earlier today. You had that video playing, and she was like discussing overcoming her fears and how brave she felt and everything else.
and how proud she was of herself. It's like, fuck off.
who cares? All right, let's move on. I think we have three fairly related. The first one is we talked last week about how cuts at the National. Was it the National Institute of Health? Or cuts.
NIH, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to make. So the health secretary cut a lot of jobs, mainly those of people who are helping new drugs get to the market or new equipment get to the market, the people that approve those types of things. I guess it's gotten even worse. Now they're saying that the Trump health policy uncertainty sends biotech sector into deeper slump. So financially, these companies are not doing well. There's fears that the FDA could delay drug approvals, and it's causing biotech companies just to tank. And
what does that mean personally?
I mean, what it means personally is that the companies that are currently doing clinical trials on their products that don't already have products on the market that provide them with money are possibly going to go out of business because they have no funds coming in. There's no funding from the government anymore. And so who knows what could be affected, what possible cures, what possible...
And why does that strike a chord with you?
Well, because, you know, I use medical devices every day of my life. I'm a type 1 diabetic.
Diabetes.
I wear a continuous glucose monitor that talks to my insulin pump. And because of those two pieces of equipment, my health has improved dramatically in the last couple of years.
Which we pay a
We
ton
pay
of
a
money
ton
for.
But, you know, I'm able to, and I'm thankful that I'm able to, and I'm thankful that I have this equipment. So just the thought of people in similar situations needing some sort of new technology or new medical treatment or whatever might not get it.
Yeah, because the government decided,
because the government stopped
Bobby
funding
Kennedy
all these
decided that, you know,
clinical trials for new
and what about him and his
technology,
measles?
medicine. Well, now he says he's completely flipped his script. He's completely for vaccines. He
What?
says. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, now I have to find it. He says that he trusts the so-called controversial M20. Was it M?
I don't know, but I'm just saying there was a doctor that had an active case of measles and was treating the children in the hospital. So he was basically a super spreader. Everybody thought that was okay. Everybody thought he was some kind of hero because he was working while he had measles.
Oh yeah, no. Kennedy changed his tune on MMR vaccine as second child dies of measles.
Where's that?
It's in Biospace.
Is that a real news thing?
Biospace.com. I'm not familiar. But, oops, now we got ads. He literally said, Kennedy, a longtime opponent of vaccines, stated that the MMR vaccine is the most effective way to combat the measles outbreak, which has already claimed the 2 lives of children in the U.S.
These people.
Yeah,
They just, whatever's good at the time for them, they just do.
So, yeah, you never know what's actually happening at any moment in this country. It's pretty ridiculous. So the next story is headlined, Novo Nordisk warns consumers about counterfeit versions of Ozempic in the U.S. Everyone these days seems to be on this
Ozempic.
drug.
Gayle was definitely on it. You could tell watching her this morning.
I don't understand. I actually think that the people who, they look like they're on it. So it's an Ozempic look. They're bobbleheads.
They're bobbleheads. They're all
skinny, but they have their regular size head. Like the one that bothers me the most personally is Kelly Clarkson, because I'm a big fan of Kelly Clarkson, and I don't care what weight she is. And to me now, she doesn't
look like herself.
Yeah, she doesn't look like herself anymore. So it's disappointing to me. And you know, no one.
We
knows.
say that whenever somebody dies in Ireland, whenever we're looking at the coffin, we say, "Oh, don't they look like themselves?"
That's a weird thing to say.
Well, it's because the embalmer or the mortician does a really good job that they don't look dead.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But anyway, so I guess that hundreds of units of counterfeit Ozempic were being distributed here in the United States, which I have been seeing a lot of like random companies, like companies that do other things, saying, "Oh, we have our own
Form of glipizide or whatever."
They have their own form of that drug and everything else, but I don't know exactly what counterfeit makes it counterfeit or not, because they're obviously allowed to do it. But I did hear something that
it has to be on market 10 years before.
Yeah, people were going to basically. I think the Novo Nordisk, the company that makes Ozempic and also makes a lot of diabetes products, just so you know, I think they're going after all those companies that are making sort of knockoff Ozempic. But I think this is different. I think this is illegal,
like black market stuff,
counterfeit.
People saying it's Ozempic and it's not.
Exactly.
All right, so.
But in a sort of related story, I guess Trump recently said that he thinks that there will be U.S. pharma tariffs coming in the not too distant future, so that drugs and other medical things that are created outside of the country will now have a new tariff on them. So everyone's Ozempic is going to get more expensive, basically.
That's going to be terrible for anybody.
I know.
The drugs are already massively overpriced in this country.
Geez. It's ridiculous. And we all know that the pharmaceutical companies don't have any shame about passing an increase in cost on to their
Like, what do you pay for a vial of insulin? What's you're supposed to be cost? $135, $140, something like that, or $300 sometimes?
I mean, I think the name brand stuff is close to $300 over the counter. There are places like, I think, is it Walmart that has their own generic brand of insulin that they sell for like $180 a vial, so it is less expensive.
And if I go to Guatemala and I walk into the pharmacy and I say, "Hey, can I get a vial of insulin?" They say, "Yes, $10, please."
Yeah, I mean,
and remember, insulin was given away free. The guy that invented insulin wanted everybody to have it for free, and then the drug companies were like, "Hell no, we can make a shit ton of money on that."
Exactly. So, I mean, it's crazy. So anything that's going to raise the price of already expensive medical care here in this country is not a good thing in my eyes. Let's talk some more about the man who was wrongly deported, and the government admits that this person was wrongly deported. And the Supreme Court recently ruled that the government has to do what it can to get him back.
Is this the hairdresser guy?
No, this is not the hairdresser guy. We'll talk about him in a minute. This is the father with the autistic son.
Oh, yes. He had that autistic tattoo on his arm.
Anyway, so
autism
even
tattoo.
though the Supreme Court said that the Trump administration had to facilitate this man's return, the Trump administration is supposedly reading that as that facilitating means they should remove any domestic obstacles that would otherwise impede the alien's ability to return here, but not to actually help extract him from El Salvador. So they're doing nothing. And it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you put this man here erroneously. This was your fault. He should not be there. And yet you refuse to get him out. Like, why?
Because it looks like it looks bad to them.
Doesn't this look worse?
Well, no, they don't care. You know, they want to be tough and hard and look at me, I'm all macho and we don't give a shit. You know, it's to send a big sort of scare to anybody. It's like, look what we'll even do to people we think are illegal, you know?
But it's also just scary in the fact that how far Trump is willing to go to pretend that the other branches of the government don't have
any power
over him. Like, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, and it's basically his Supreme Court. He put most of
no one is above the law.
Yeah, and they're at one point anyway, Trump supporters. I don't think some of them are anymore. But the fact that he's just willing to completely ignore, basically, or sort of misrepresent what they're
He doesn't care.
Is crazy.
He wants to be a dictator, so therefore he's doing everything dictatorish.
Yeah, it's true.
He's like, yeah, fight me, I don't care.
And so you mentioned earlier the supposed gay barber that was also deported. I found this interesting that I guess it's come out. So it's come out that the gay makeup artist, or gay barber as Fox News likes to call him, was mainly deported due to the testimony or due to the evidence brought forth by a man who was discredited and kicked out of the police force.
Okay.
So the former
What does
sergeant,
this man do? What is it? How would he be able to get him?
He currently works for a company called Core Civic, which is a company that runs immigration detention centers for ICE. Before that, though, he was a police officer. He had sort of a few different...
He had many problems
over the course of his career. For one, he received a misdemeanor conviction in 2007 after kicking in the door of an apartment he shared with his girlfriend and threatening to kill himself with his service revolver. He was also fired.
You still have a revolver?
From the Wisconsin police in 2012 after he drunkenly crashed into a house. And at the same time, he was also being investigated for allegedly falsely claiming overtime hours.
So the guy that sent him away...
He appealed the firing but resigned during the appeal, and then his name was subsequently added to the Brady list, a list of police officers who were considered non-credible for providing legal testimony in that county. But for some reason, he's able to provide testimony against this man that was deported.
So what do you call that woman that went over there and did the photo op?
Noam?
What do you call, what's her name?
Secretary, Noam, Christy Noam.
Christy Noam?
Yeah.
Why didn't she go and get them?
Yeah, right.
I mean, she was there.
But basically, so on his form, even though this gentleman's lawyer and also Venezuela itself says his tattoos have nothing to do with the gang he was accused of being part of, Tren de Aragua, this discredited cop gave him a score of 5 for having gang tattoos. And that was the only category in the form that was filled out.
What's
there was
the scores?
No other reason. It was the highest score. So basically saying he has gang tattoos, but there was
nothing else.
No other categories on the form, including intelligence information received from other agencies or group photos with other gang members, were checked on the form. So basically, this guy's tattoos got him deported thanks to this discredited cop who is not allowed to provide testimony where he used to work. So why do we believe his testimony in this regard?
Because he's an immigrant. So they can send him away.
And he's gay too. So, and basically he's obviously not being treated well. He came to this country to seek asylum from his own country, from his own people, because he was scared that something bad would happen to him for being gay. And here he is in another country, in a prison, which is known to be very dangerous in general, but I'm especially towards gays as well too. I can't imagine they get treated well there.
And what about the gays in Hungary?
I didn't read too much about that. I know that the government did pass the legislation we talked about recently. I know it got passed.
Yeah, but then they're still
far.
protesting on the
They're
streets.
still protesting, but unfortunately, so far, I don't think it's amounted to much.
Well, they said they're grey because they're tired of protesting.
Yeah. I mean, I did briefly read that a lot of people are saying that this push in Hungary is influenced by outside sources. It's not a homegrown issue, and it's just the current president looking for the votes of the far right.
So he's just doing shit for no reason whatsoever, just basically just to get votes. It's the usual. It's like, let's pick on the minority, you know, like Trump does. He picks on the trans people, the 0.001% of the population, and makes them big scary monsters. Yeah. So that look over here. These people are bad, and then they just ignore the billionaires stealing all the money.
Yeah. And everyone's suffering.
And what about Bernie and AOC? Did you see Bernie at Coachella? What at Coachella?
Was it Coachella?
Was it Coachella?
I mean, that's happening now, so I'm assuming.
Yeah. Is it Coachella? I don't even know. I don't.
Coachella.
Oh yeah. So he got up and gave a big speech, and 120,000 people there were booing Trump. Okay. Is it Coachella?
Yes, Coachella is happening right now.
Right, because I was watching videos about Coachella, about how people were waiting 10 hours in line trying to get in, trying to get to the camping spots, and they weren't allowed to use bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. And they were
turning into the fire festival.
It was basically the third fire festival.
I don't think so.
And then the next video I played through there was Bernie. Bernie's on stage in front of 120,000 people, and then as soon as he mentioned, you know, your President Donald Trump, the whole crowd erupted in boos. So I have a funny feeling, you know, Trump's not very well liked.
Well, no, I mean, that was always true. And yeah, Bernie Sanders makes a surprise appearance at Coachella. So that is what you were saying.
How old is he?
He's 83, isn't he, I think?
And he's still going?
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, he's the best thing we got going right now.
Exactly.
Him and AOC, and of course, you all know we love Jasmine Crockett. She's just...
I hope she doesn't mess up.
Yeah. She's a lawyer. She's got a good head on her shoulders.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. So what's how do we end this video today?
I don't know. I think we've talked about every story we picked out. So
do you want us to do more of these? Do you want us to do these every day? Do you want us to do these once a week? This is entirely up to you guys, and I promise you, you know, we can accommodate if you want us to change up the stories, if you want us to keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly. At one point you asked if you wanted our story with some of these to be more personal about our life stories, or if you wanted us to keep talking about
our lives
in the news.
Boring.
Well, no, our lives now are very boring, but we've had, you especially have had a very interesting life. He's done just about everything. Did you know he was a skydiving instructor?
Well, whatever.
So mine is much less interesting, but who knows? Maybe some people want to hear about how we were when we were younger.
And Charles, I know you watch all these videos. I started my skydiving career at 17, working at the Wild Geese Skydiving Centre in Northern Ireland. You probably know where that is.
I don't.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Should we wrap it up?
I think so.
Should we go get lunch?
It's a Monday, is it not?
All right.
Mondays
Please
are for lunches.
like and subscribe. Hasta
luego.
Adios.